The mailman number 1. There is evidence for continued network degradation and or interference. Of 607 packages received this week, 7 arrived late in a fashion that cannot be explained. 4 packages were sent exactly 1 year earlier. However, these packages had been already received, meaning these were duplicates of some kind. 3 packages were mistakenly dated. They were stamped with a date exactly 1 year in the future and contained messages irrelevant to their recipients or current events. I can only conclude that these were pranks of some sort and will append these to my report and about misuse of our sensitive and most vital infrastructure. Don't click on you. Sometimes I think it's just safe to assume things are going through. It may not be the same thing to think, but it definitely helps me sleep at night. Oh no? They're just never hearing back from anyone. They're just throwing messages in bottles into the ocean and hoping that anyone ever hears them, even if they don't respond. Anomaly encounters number 2. I'm nervous saying this because people will say it was whales or dolphins or something, but it isn't like that. It's a submarine. I'm getting the same ones again? We were up on one of the old fire roads doing maintenance of the new gate. Dusk was fast approaching. At first I thought Carlos had his radio on, but then I realized the sound was much too clear. There were dozens of them, moving like a swarm. They were deep orange like embers off of a fire. Each one made a sound of some sort, like wind chimes, but softer. We sat and watched them for an hour before they suddenly faded out, never seeing anything like it. I think I've also heard that one before. Why is the game giving me duplicate ones? That sucks. There's so many more new ones to give me. I genuinely thought that these kind of drops were literally meant to just generate another one I don't have yet forever until I get them all, because there's such a huge pool of them. Having 2 of them be duplicates in a row is like... That's really bad for your chances of ever being able to find them all if that's happening. Oh my god, the entire transfer trunk is full. Okay, I'll get crafting and hopefully stuff will loosen out a bit. What is in here? In memoriam, never forget, ride together forever. What is that a memorial of?
Tobias' his favorite cryptid of them all.
Oh.
If it's not too much to ask, if you could put it on your dashboard, so Tobias can come along for the ride, for wherever you're going. But don't feel obligated by any means.
It's cute. What the fuck is it? It's a Hedor... Is it a... What category is that? Ah, stop it. Oh yeah, it's a new bobblehead. Fuck yeah. It's gonna be a bobble? I wanna see it. Look at this goofy little shit. Oh my god, I love him. We found the furry bait. It was gonna be in here somewhere. What else do I have category-wise? The popsicle. Old-timey wheel could be fun. I forgot to install it before. I don't want to fuck with my shifter too much. I like being able to tell what it is clearly. A pirate ship on the front. That's funny. And then flags, and then stickers. Did I ever get new stickers? Nope, they're basically just trans and what our pride flags and so on. Little pirate ship. And my old-timey wheel. That's pretty good, yeah. I like this wheel. I definitely feel like a jackass for even implying that my job is important, or that I am fighting the culture war by just saying, not by doing the culture war part, but just being like, art is good. You should look, and here's cool stuff to check out. But that's the world we've weirdly lived in since 2014, which upsettingly is now 11 years in the past. But people made the world that way. And I did not consent to it becoming like that, and it's been exhausting. In a world where you have to explain that you don't like the Ghostbusters reboot that much, which isn't even the new one anymore, but not because they're but not for the reason those weird people do. You just don't think that it works very well because it's entirely improv, and that's exhausting and not very funny. But everyone else is being sexist and weird about it, so now everyone thinks that you're one of them if you say you don't like it. I get it. It's fucking... But what's frustrating in a way is that people correctly identified that art is political from the reactionary side, while arguing that it's not political and doesn't mean anything, for the motivated reason of diverting people away from engaging with what art is about, because what art is about is often distinctly about people's empathetic experiences and connection. And art is about connection. It's about connecting with other people. It's about connecting with experiences. That's the whole thing, is it's something that somebody else made in a very time-consuming way, and that's very important. I have the blacksmith anomaly finally. It's like Roger Ebert called movies empathy machines, and it's like that's a great way to look at things. Cause it's like, yeah, this is a story told by somebody else, and that's always important. Like, that's learning from other people's stories is a big deal, both fiction and nonfiction. People tell non-fictional stories also for a reason. And the reactionary right has had a period for a long time now where they constantly decry as they reduce art into just being mindless entertainment as a platform. And it's because so much of this stuff is inherently against their entire ideology to let people engage with this stuff. Which is really interesting once you actually see what's happening. It reminds me of all the discussion about how college indoctrinates you into being a leftist, and I'm like, politics didn't come up when I was in college. I went to college for 5.5 years, and politics never was part of my curriculum or anything. I just was surrounded by a whole bunch of different types of people that I'd never been around before, and I became a more well-rounded person because of all these experiences and people that I met. And that kind of experience inherently pushes you in a direction that is counterproductive to people who want you to be bigoted and think that certain types of people are worse. People who care a lot about borders, and people who care a lot about who it does and doesn't get rights, and people inherently think that there should be a pecking order in daily life. Those people don't want you to be empathizing in long term with those types of people. I collected so many fucking marsh eggs, and it's still not enough marsh eggs. I need so many marsh eggs. Do these count? Are there marsh eggs in here? Okay, these should be stacked, though. I don't know why those weren't stacked if they were auto-looted from something. Unless I can spend from the marsh egg supply? Have I already spent from the marsh egg supply, maybe? Can you spend from that box itself? Radiation suit! I'm gonna do it. I'm spending those Olympian fragments. I'm just taking it. I wish I had enough for other things, but whatever. Let's make 5 carbon fiberglass. Actually, I'm pretty sure I could have made this last time, and I got mixed up and forgot. I can use the marsh eggs at least for the anti-static gloves, so I don't get electrical shocks to my gloves. That does not come up much, so I'm not in a huge hurry to spend it there, unless I can't find anything else to do with it, and marsh eggs are not. Anti-theft backpack, swamp coral. How much do I get stolen from my backpack, though? Do I not have something else to spend marsh eggs and anti-theft backpacks on? I should do a sweep through my stuff, just in case. Can I currently afford here? Anti-corrosive bumper. Ah, unstable energy one, yep. That would do it. Wait, what does it say I can make that? Oh, it's on this menu. Increased locker space. I do want to see a pneumatic locker at least. But this one can become like a super locker. How big is it? Jesus Christ. I don't know how much is in there now. It just turned into a menu. Turned into a Skyrim menu. Click. It fit. How much goes in this? Does it have a number out of a number measurement? If I don't know how much fits in here, then how do I know when I need another one? What the fuck? Okay. That resolves some storage issues. Let's go ahead and loot all of this stuff out of here to put into the pneumatic locker and see if it caps out. It has not capped out yet. How... The rearrange button still works? Can you just sort them by name at this point? Why isn't the inventory of this menu sorted if it's gonna be just a nightmare list? I have no idea how much fits in here, but this is like a game changer amount of space. Wow. At some point the game just gives you functionally infinite space or something. Because you can make several of those. Got it. Okay. You are the master of your destiny when it comes to inventory space. No. God, no. And here we go. Just eat all these one by one. It's fine. This is a reasonable use of my time because we famously need scrap metal. I'm just gonna save myself from this. Uh-oh. This will not be worth anything, but while that is a bunch of scrap metal, I just don't need scrap metal. Not like that. Especially when this thing's probably full of it again. Yep. Yeah, let's not do that to myself. I just need the space. There's too many canned foods. I can't, once again, you can't hit the top of, up at the top of the menu to scroll to skip to the bottom, which is a frustration. Doop. Alright, so we're like 2.5 hours in. I've been doing like 3-hour episodes, but the end of the road. Okay. I wonder, is this my final episode? Am I gonna just burst over to the end point right now? As fast as possible? And see how quickly I can get there? Maybe. I'll probably want to read all of my lore then. So this might be a marathon episode. I might not be able to finish recording it today. Let's get rid of some of these horrible situations. How fast can I get there? So E6, C4, A2, A1. That's pretty fast. And none of them are currently bad voids. Heavy fog, sure. Eerie darkness. Eerie darkness. Magnified explosions. Okay, eerie darkness is bad, but I have headlights, and if my job, and my goal is just to burst through the zone, then I shouldn't be that worried. Whereas, like, magnified explosions, I don't think I want intense radiation. Exhausting explosions. I can only reroll one. How bad is intense radiation? You can avoid the radiation and stay in your car, hopefully. It's at least not armor penetrating radiation. I'm out of scanner charges. Alright, we're gonna have to finally deal with turncoat, which I think I haven't seen still. Yeah, those are multiple conditions I've never seen before. I've seen these ones. And heavy fog is nothing. E6 is constantly heavy fog. I'm surprised you can get to the end in only 5 jumps. They must have planned that from the get-go, I guess, to make it that easy, because that's a very clean path. Yeah. Didn't I already have access to A2, so it might have been a faster route? Nah, E6, C4, A2, and E6, C3, C2 is the same number of jumps to get to A6, but this gets us to our destination faster. Just 5 levels, and they're ones I can cruise through because I'm not trying to gather anything necessarily. So let's make the best vehicle I can, I guess, on some level. Potentially including, like, replacing some of these chunks with ones that aren't worn out, maybe? Like this all-terrain tire. Oopsie, this isn't the back. The expanded backseat tank. Rusty. Age and agitation has caused this tank to develop an ever-widening crack. You can expect it to start leaking at any moment. Unfortunately, no amount of sealing will fix this fundamental flaw. Okay, so it's not just worn out. Or it is, but like they have different descriptions of different worn out things, and they mean different things. Trying to make another expanded backseat tank, which isn't even that hard to do, so that's fine. Yeah, it's time to replace some of these fatal flaws in my vehicle and make them stop ruining my life. So that's nice. Oh my god, that thing contains most of my gas. Because I think I already refilled this, so you really get to see how much the two things compare. All-terrain tire. Bald. Okay. I have one all-terrain tire that's bad, two that are bad. Alright, the front two are bad, which are the ones I made first, I think. Made of carbon fiberglass. The question is whether I should make these super tires or not. Did I get those unlocked? I never unlocked them. No, didn't end up getting that apparently. Alright, I can throw you out. What a handy feature to It's fine. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Mr. Video Game, I need you to chill your balls. No day like today. Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to suck up the tires, which isn't that big of a deal. Alright. That's just a good thing I checked, right? I would have run over here without them, and I would have lost 5 seconds. Ta-da! Alright, so those are better tires. It's going to be harder to replace... Are those still steel panels, not armored panels? So a fair amount of my vehicle is still not even armored panels. I do have thermostat crystals, finally. So I can make armored doors and panels as much as I want. Might even be better to make these, I mean, 10% impact is something, but 60 health anti-corrosive things, and they're made of fiberglass. And carbon fiberglass is cheaper, because it's just a thing I have more of. Limb chipped engine, Olympium. Ugh. I don't get to finish the game with the final fucking engine because it's just the Olympium fragments are too rare. I have to actively delay a fair amount to get that, unfortunately. And these also, yeah, so many things require Olympium fragments that we're not really going to accomplish much there. Resource radar. Yeah, let's think about this real quick. You. Not you. Magnetic bumper? What? There we go. I weirdly couldn't... Oh, the magnetic bumper is a box. It's an inventory. So since the magnetic bumper is an inventory, yeah, I couldn't, it was showing up as an inventory on my screen instead of as an item I could move because it has an inventory. These are two storage things. This is a lot of storage. I might want to replace the top storage with something more useful, like bonus battery space or some kind of other thing that can keep me alive forever. Or a combat thing. Because if I'm not gathering resources, then this is a huge wasted space on my vehicle. And this just kind of became my de facto store useful parts place, because it is more space that I have. Can I not put it in here? There it is. Yeah. Is it too big for any of these spaces? It's big enough for that one. It can fit that space, but not very well. Okay, first of all, I should see... Can I transfer stuff here? Still fits more. I should see how much it fits, obviously. What the fuck? Alright. I cannot... First of all, it's wild that an expanded locker fits directly into this thing really cleanly. What? What? Why would you need a second pneumatic tube locker just for the convenience of being able to access it everywhere? It's eating everything. If I knew this, I would have bought it immediately. If I knew I just needed one and it's this strong. Now I'm only using it here at the end of the game where I technically don't need items anymore because I'm about to leave forever and beat the game. Like, actually insane. Oh, my backpack also is full of garbage. Okay, so I just emptied every single resource I have into this thing. None of my things contain resources except for the pneumatic network. So these are just empty lockers now. You did have to buy them all to get there, but otherwise they're useless, which is wild. Okay, are you damaged? Okay, you're fine. Armored panel, steel panel. So I have armored panels up and down the sides. I don't think any of my armored panels are worn out yet. And none of my armored doors are worn out yet. Right? This armored panel's worn out. This one? Do I just hit this one a lot? Maybe. This is the one I installed last. I had to repaint it, I remember. Alright, so I need to make 2 new armored panels. Which should be easy. It's not how you do that. Was that collision? Alright. I'm decking my car out as good as I can. Let's win this for realsies. Okay, so what's a good thing to put on the roof? Unfortunately, things aren't sorted by that. We can do abilities. Yeah, I took the magnetic bumper off because it should be useless at this point. Limb shield. It's expensive. I should probably put the limb shield back on, though, yeah. I also should remove the items I don't necessarily want to keep. Like, unfortunately, the side floodlights are kind of useless to me. The limb shield should be pretty worth it. Let's see here. So if I... This would incentivize me getting an expanded battery, potentially. I shouldn't need all the side storage either. It's just kind of like where I'm putting some of these extra things. But otherwise, side storage should be kind of a waste right now. There we go. So I can build side things to put there. I can put whatever I want in here for the final haul. It's more than enough inventory space for just supplies that I can pre-build. Fuel synthesizer and mini turbine are both fine. So I can build 2 roof things and 2 side things if I can think of what they are. We'll prioritize abilities. The limb shield is good. I already have that. I don't think I need a nitro boost. Ion shield is an anti-radiation one, I think. Pulse emitter, XL roof storage site, because they're not crazy abilities. High capacity battery. Where does it say where these things go? Oh, it's a seat one, yeah. XL roof battery requires 4 limb chips. I could do an XL roof battery and an XL roof tank. And those would be... This one's not even expensive. I think it's just expensive because of where it goes in the vehicle. I can't make limb chips because they require Olympium fragments. So that's a pretty big cap on what I can do there. Bio headlights are stronger. Those require coral. They're stronger than regular headlights. Just don't know if that matters at all, but be fun to make. Just make myself a couple of endgame headlights. Whoops. Does it have a big crystal sticking out? Yeah, they do. Let's not step on those again. We've learned our lesson terribly. Can't make Olympian panels because the Olympian fragments. Already have all-terrain tires replaced. Hey, what do I do with my roof space? A second gas reservoir? Just so much gas. I'll never run out of gas. You can't beat me, Mr. Video Game. I really don't see much else to do. So I could just put one of the other things back on it. Armored door. Armored panel. Armored panel, armored door. Should be all good for the most part. Gas reservoir is very big. To get that, I already have a gas tank plus a seat tank. And the reservoir is those two combined, apparently, because it's exactly half right now. This thing has a lot of gas. This thing has more gas than we'll ever comprehend. It's probably fine on gas. Limb shield is a great ability to have. So I just put more fun things on the sides or something? Or I might just make the tracking headlight for fun? Yeah. Maybe the final level will plunge me into darkness in a way where I have to actually accomplish something, and maybe it'd be fun to have a headlight that follows me. Jeez, look at it. That's neat. That's fun. Because obviously the slow-mo thing and the levitation thing would be cool if I had Olympium fragments. But I can't make those ones. They're the coolest abilities in the game, but they require a ton of Olympium fragments. Every limb chip is 6 fragments, so this one requires 30. Yeah, they each require 30 of these things that I've really been... I tried to farm them. Let's see. If nothing else, I might want to cover the side of this vehicle with just 2 batteries to make up for the fact that I have abilities that cost batteries. Side storage, side or XL roof. Does this thing have my side batteries? Lightning rod. Nope. I can make 2 side batteries. Lead acid, high capacity, lightning rod, mini turbine. Okay, yeah. But just the original battery. I don't know if these really store much. But I actually don't see that much to do with this space. Maybe it's a little hubrisy to not bring that much inventory with me. Let's sort this mess a little bit. So we're bringing a bunch of putty. Even more putty than I thought. There's more down here. Let's try to sort this a little bit. Don't think I care about a flare gun. Let's take that out. Pretty sure I can make med kits, so I don't think I'm going to need that stuff. I'm literally I'm like sorting my inventory so I can best keep track of having exactly what I should bring. There's a big ol' thing right there. 1 bulb replacer, sure, why not? Alright, so mechanics kits. I don't know if this place is more efficient or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see what I'm doing. Oh god. I don't think I need that many bulb replacers. So I didn't build more stacks of them. But I am fully equipping us with these boys. And I am sorting the inventory so we can tell what is where. Alright. 3 stacks of electrician's kit, 3 stacks of mechanics kits, 3 stacks of sealing kits, 6 stacks of repair putty. Make some more health kits probably, some battery jumpers. Might as well move this down here. Just for the visual. Thermal vacuum, I think. Doing okay on health kits. Go ahead and pop 1 more on there for the full stacks. I don't need this many flares. Or a flare gun, I don't think. I have a flashlight. Magnetic hammer. So I very much do not need this generic hammer. I don't have space for it. Is that a side battery right there? God damn it, there it is. Ugh. Okay. Well, made an extra side battery for no reason. Found it. Alright, so 2 magnetic hammers. Here's the bonus one. These are generic scrappers, so they can go fuck themselves. These are really filling up my inventory with garbage. I thought I jumped over it. I have plenty of everything else. I do not need to fill my inventory with this stuff. That's it? For all of that? Okay, rude. Okay, so here's my backup cutter. Here's my backup hammer. Here's my backup thermal vacuum. We have 2 blower torches, which I might as well go down in this compartment. Pretty sure I can just make another thermal vacuum. Make a bio-lant, make some, yeah, make a bio, oh god, these are all my swamp coral, I forgot about that. Hope I have this now. This is the one for my inventory. That's the one that's the backup. Getting rid of this one that has like no durability left. Probably put this here as my backup light, I guess, and make the thermal light, the bio-lantern, my real one. The backup saw, but there's another backup saw over there. Crowbar, hammer. Never use liberators, never use the anchor finder, really. But why not? But I should be pretty equipped right about now. Get this out of my face. Kind of hard to look at. Let's see. Set you to 3. What is missing from 4? Maybe the light? Is that where my that probably was where my flashlight used to be. With the amount of thermal vacuums I have available, I do not think I need to spend the space on a generic vacuum. I've got a backup thermal vacuum. Okay, so this is like probably a full inventory of stuff. So then as the final mission, we'll see if it's the same episode or the next episode, but next I need to, next episode or next session, I'm going to get caught up on all of my lore entries and then do that big drive to the end and see how that goes. And then I'll look at how long that was episode-wise and decide from there how to package it content-wise. That's my job. That's how my life works. Okay. But I need to take a break right now. It's exciting. I'm all set up. Things are like all coming together. How many of these do I have now? Isn't that... I'm up to 6. I'm up to 6 undiagnosed thingies. Should I find out what they are for fun? I don't even... this vehicle's doing 6 things that I'm not noticing. That's weird, right? Some of the ones that introduced the idea to me stood out so much that, like, I'm surprised 6 things can be happening to this thing without me noticing. Are they ruining my life and I don't even know? Or do they super not matter? I have no idea. It's wild. Okay. Let's save. Alrighty, I'm back. It's the next day. I'm comfy. But more importantly, I had to go off and do the weekly Final Fantasy XIV stream. So it's already still scanned. Yeah, that all stays the same. I did literally save after I did it. It's just that the screen goes to sleep when I log out of the game. It's still not an international incident if we don't tell anyone. There are a lot of Canadians in the world. Who's gonna miss 16? Alright, let's catch up on the logbook. Skip ahead if you don't want a marathon of this, but there's still more. The full service stop, the one that charges you and heals you. It's been quite some time since I last wrote in my journal, and I'm beginning to wonder just how wise it is to keep a written record. So much has happened in these last few months, and ARDA has become even more strict. Not only have they issued yet more directives without information sharing and report confidentiality, they've been particularly paranoid when it comes to monitoring our day-to-day conversations, or what they're now calling gossip. They've also cancelled several projects. After a series of strange events recently, including those hallucinations or manifestations that we're not even supposed to talk about, they've been chopping and changing all over the place. And where they aren't cutting projects, they're certainly cutting budgets. We now have 2 working prototypes of the regenerative shelters that combine both inductive charging and stable projected regenerative electromagnetic fields, but we no longer have the money to buy new test materials or even replace the coils when they burn out. How are we supposed to demonstrate how well these things work when we can't even afford to run them? And I've tried reaching out to Dr. Turner's office, but I keep getting these cryptic responses about how she's temporarily reassigned. But to where? What is going on? Olympium veins. I got to get 1 or 2 things out of this, and then I can go fuck myself. First created in 1944 alongside Americium? I don't remember what that's called, actually. I know that because we kept getting deeper and deeper, right, because as you go further down the periodic table of elements, I think most people already know this from chemistry, I guess, in high school or whatever, but like, as you get towards the bottom, a lot of the elements down there were not ever found in nature, and instead were created from scratch. I think a couple of them were created and then were found in nature, maybe, but most of them were created in a lab, just based on the logic of how elements work. So, like, if elements are just made of protons and neutrons and electrons, and they have this relationship and this many orbits, and this is their proportions and so on, we could probably create some of them. And I think some of them might be, I actually don't know if any of them are stable. I know a lot of them are very unstable and tend to cease existing shortly after they're created. I think they give off radiation maybe, and then their half-life is, like, they break down into other elements basically that are more stable and more common, and that's indicative probably why they don't exist in nature or so on. I figure this is probably an element that is like not reasonably going to exist in nature, but for some reason in this zone it can. First created in 1944 alongside Americium and Curium. I bet Curium is named after that famous scientist Curie, which is the same scientist that the floating robot in Fallout 4 is named after. I think that robot's also named after Curie, the one that's a party member. It's a female scientist, doctor. Olympium similarly remained a state secret, but while information and other trans-uranium elements was gradually made. While information about other trans-uranium elements was gradually made public, knowledge of the highly unstable Olympium was not. This was in part because it took some time for scientists to confirm its existence through additional testing, and then because further research on the element continued only on the Olympic Peninsula, under strict ARDA supervision. The first isotope created had a half-life of approximately 9 seconds, similar to hassium. Initial applications were extremely limited. It wasn't until the isotope 01266 was accidentally created by a LimTech team working for ARDA that the practical applications of a strong and relatively lightweight metal were considered. Olympium alone has limited use outside of making heavier transuranium and transactinide elements, but the possibilities of alloys using 01266 have intrigued chemists and engineers. Since its discovery, knowledge of Olympium has remained closely guarded, and it was believed to have only ever existed in laboratories at the University of Chicago on the Olympic Peninsula. However, After the events of 1961, 01266 was occasionally discovered in small above-ground deposits within the zone. The cause of this distribution remain unexplained. I don't know if Olympium was real or fictional, but they talk about it briefly existing there at that time and so on, and I'm like, maybe. I don't remember for sure if the Olympic Peninsula is real. I feel like the Olympic Peninsula is probably real. Let's see. Olympic Peninsula, because it should just be in Washington. I was just there, which is funny to me. Yeah. I was staying in a place where I could have taken a ferry to get to the Olympic Peninsula. So the Olympic Peninsula is not Seattle. It's that big hook on the left side of Washington where the big bay is directly above it. And it's sort of surrounded by the bay and all the tributaries and so on. Yep. Yerp. I was staying on the islands across from there for like half a week on my way back from Washington. Because I stayed in Vancouver, and then Ka, our dungeon master over on No Playing Games, picked me up by car in Canada and just drove me to where he lives in Washington. And then I stayed there for a while. And then I got a one-way ticket to Canada, and then I had a one-way return ticket from Seattle, because I flew back from a different place than I left to in the first place, and then got to hang out in Seattle for a day and meet up with all my friends like Bird and Brian and Red Means Recording and stuff, who all live up in the Seattle area, and got to meet up with a lot of people there and had a very effective trip for meeting with a lot of people I know that wasn't tied to a convention for the first time. Because even before all the fur cons, I went to PAX, and that was the first time I really got to see a lot of people at once from around the world. Anyway, that's Olympium. Explosives, great. Those are upsetting. Do I need to remind you that we have been deployed here in only a support capacity? The army is not supposed to be the zone's police force, nor are we the zone's security, nor are we any other kind of enforcers. We are advisors and engineers. We are certainly not here to throw our weight around, and your recent behavior has given me great cause for concern. Your unit's only role is to provide support and assistance to ADRA personnel whenever they requisition explosives or plan blasting operations. It is not up to you whether these operations are authorized or denied. If you have concerns about how ADRA personnel are using their equipment, their safety protocols, or their numbers in their inventory, you come to me. The chain of command works like this. We are here to support a civilian operation. Don't forget that. I give everyone the same nerdy scientist voice, like, oh, Gordon Freeman! But half these people are like sergeants and things. It's fine. You pick up the context of the message over the course of reading it, and by then it's too late. And also, if I had to come up with a voice for this many characters without context, I'd lose my mind. The beach ball. How have I never read the note about the beach ball? Or is this a different thing than the floating things that I suck items out of? I mean, maybe I'm just really behind, because I had some big sessions where I was really trying to make progress. Cleanup continues, but even 6 weeks after February's lab explosion, we're still finding more and more gel that has escaped into the atmosphere. Between 700 and 800 cubic meters of material was ejected in the blast. We believe it was initially distributed over approximately 200 square kilometers, but given the nature of the material, it may well have traveled further. Given time, it would seem that most gel tends to settle somewhere around a local ground level, regardless of environmental conditions, altitude, or air pressure. However, its very nature makes it susceptible to strong winds and meteorological changes, meaning it may be weeks before we have a full picture of the scale of distribution. These are like resources, right? So I've got 30 out of 38, which is okay, but not amazing. I only have like 75% of them scanned. Damn. Granted, one of them's that one fucking truck I never seem to find. It's just a different truck. In addition, it seems that the great deal of blast debris may have been mixed with, perhaps even suspended in, the gel, which has a habit of slowly absorbing items it passes over. Yeah, this usually has an item inside, which makes the beach ball very fun to suck up because it gives you the red balloons, and it also gives you a special thing. Yeah, I guess I never read that one. And I've discovered those, I think, all the way back when we were doing the first test, where they buried the gay. Yeah. Fuel barrel. No, I need gasoline. Gasoline! Fuel! Whatever you want to call it. Fuel doesn't short. Fuel isn't affected by electromagnetic pulses. Fuel doesn't need replacement parts. I don't care about all the apparently genius technology you reckon is going to solve the world's problems. None of it works in this cursed place. If you want us to ever get anything done, just send more fuel for the generators, for the cars, for the machinery, and send it yesterday. It definitely would be easy, now that I have a resource radar, if I had that sooner, or if I was dedicated to maxing out these lore entries at all costs, even if it makes the series 20 episodes longer. Having that radar would definitely make it easier. I can go around and scan it and try to recognize icons that I haven't scanned and add them. Because the fuel barrel, I didn't even register the idea that that was a thing. There's just barrels around. I thought it was like the debris that's in your way here and there. Like, the fact that there's fuel barrels and they have fuel in them and you actually get fuel out of them and they're scannable, I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm still utterly baffled by the fact that the meter for them says they're almost full, and it's a giant-ass barrel, and then it empties instantly, and you're like, that was no fuel. That didn't even fill my tiny little can. And you're holding the tiny little can up to this giant barrel, and you're like, this is small, and that is large. And this isn't like this is not one of those glass illusions. This is not one of those little funny tricks where you put two different serving glasses in front of a child, and like say, which one of these is bigger? And then you pour the water from one of them into the other one. You're like, oh my god, they're the same size? No. That's a barrel. Barrel's big. That's the whole point. That's why they exist. It's really weird. It's not a genuine flaw in the game, but it is like, it is wrong. They should definitely be showing up as being like 10% full or something, like they've mostly leaked out. But wow, you can get some fuel out of this. They shouldn't say that they're full when they're a barrel, and those are huge. Limb magnetizer. Speaking of things I also discovered in that previous checkpoint gate mission, but before the one that I actually last did. We continue to experience a growing demand for on-site manufacturing and engineering facilities, especially as ARDA's request for custom-built equipment increases. It is becoming difficult to keep up with the degradation experienced within the zone. And the degradation experienced within the zone takes a daily toll. In particular, we find ourselves in need of a great deal of machine parts and magnets. For the latter, it has become necessary to improvise large machines that can quickly magnetize ferromagnetic elements and their alloys in the hopes that we can mass-produce replacements. While our early prototypes were somewhat jury-rigged and themselves vulnerable to the vagaries of zone conditions, I believe I've devised a substantially sturdier solution. I'm distributing blueprints of this limb-assisted design to all department heads. The limb magnetizer is weird. You can also say this about the thing that repairs you, I guess, but the limb magnetizer is a electronic device that somehow converts things, even though we were just told about how this place, everything's run on fuel in this place in order to be stable. And it's like not connected to anything. It's not connected to plasma fuel, which is what they moved on to later. It's not connected to a base, so it's not connected to like something else that you could be plausibly powered. The best I can think is that somehow it's power underground, but I'm guessing that's not the case because I feel like they're being moved around by the zone. So they must be self-sufficient. So I can only think that maybe that fuel is poured into them, but then you think you'd hear a motor running or something when it's going because it has to like process fuel, and that's usually louder or something. I don't know. I'm just guessing, especially old technology, because this is like the 60s, even if it is the sci-fi 60s. I don't know how these things work. I don't know how the stations work either, and how they're stable when the whole point was that they needed fuel. But there is some world building here that can explain some of this, which is that the fuel being so necessary was their initial fuck it solution when everything was not working. They're like, fuck it, we need diesel. We need to use diesel everywhere because everything's fucked and we can't do anything. We need that because that doesn't get electrocuted in things. Because we specifically know that the plasma stuff came later. Their plasma solutions were a solution for getting electricity type solutions back involved that don't involve constantly having to truck diesel around. So there might have been other solutions that came later that are just less documented. And the chronology of these lore things all over the place. And as we go deeper into the zone, each of these zones has walls around them, so I assume that this inner zone is the oldest zone that they had to evacuate, that the scientists themselves had to evacuate away from and put a wall up and then go outward. And so I don't know if that's actually I don't know if that was the case. I don't know if it was ever established that those walls worked that way. They were likely to contain the increasing complexity and fuckery of the zone, but I don't know if they were retreating when those walls were going up. In particular because the technology seems to get more advanced the deeper in we get, which would suggest that their later stuff was being used in the inner zone and not the outer area where their technology is much more simple. It's like, why would the magnetizers only be in the inner zone? They had to have been there later on with their more advanced solutions then. They can't have retreated from it as things got worse and then spent more time and spent their last days or years or months in the outer zone, because that's where there's the least evidence of the scientists being around in many cases. It would be cool if the buildings were noticeably different. The main difference is that as you go deeper into the game, the science buildings, the portables that they use, like they're clearly they clearly worked out of the portables are what we called them in high school, which were like because we had portable rooms. I went to a high school and actually even other schools technically along the way, but especially my high school, where the population of the school was outstripping the actual campus, and so they shipped in classrooms, and it was just a series of these like trailers essentially. Like the inside looked like a classroom, but on the outside it was clearly like a big box on stilts with a ramp going up into it. They didn't look like they were going to blow away or anything. They looked more or less permanent. It's just starkly different from the rest of the construction and the infrastructure in the area. And they just added those in instead of having any more expensive construction for like real proper classrooms that are, made of the actual stuff that everything else is made of. Those are probably stitched together from multiple trailers, where they probably take a wall down to make it big enough to be a classroom. But these guys, you can tell particularly that much like old school diners, and I'm just on thought cul-de-sacs here, diners are what they are in American culture because they were actually the dining cars of trains originally. So a lot of old school diners you see are actually in the shape of a dining car. Like that's the reason why they're so long and straight like that, and when you see them in certain movies or even maybe in person sometimes, is that they are meant to be the dining car of a train. So it might literally be one that has been repurposed and made permanent or something. That's why they're so long, because that's the shape that train cars are. They're long and narrow. Nowadays a lot of diners they replicate the aesthetic and the menu, but they're just normal buildings around America. So a lot of, there's like a whole precedent because of how important trains were to American history, and how it's such a giant, fucked up, spread out country that had these railroads for getting around, and that was the only way to really do that. We have a lot of like train and transportation related stuff, and in a version of that, we have buildings now that take a particular shape because they're designed to be carried around by a semi-truck. And so these people, as far as I can tell, are all working in these particular labs because they're shaped like what you would ship on a semi-truck. That's why all the labs I'm in this game are all long and narrow. They're portable labs, and in order for that to function, they need to be shaped in a way that a vehicle can transport them. Otherwise, you'd have to build them on site, which would be a huge problem, or you'd have to airlift them in with a helicopter, which would of course change the allowable shape and proportions potentially. Like it would need to be long and narrow the same way if it was being airlifted in. There's just interesting things to think about. Like sometimes a building is permanently shaped a certain way because of the method of how it is put there in the first place. Is not just someone arrives at a site, flattens a foundation and just builds a building from scratch. And these things are very much not that. So they're very much built like they were put around on tow trucks and semi-trucks and any kind of things that they could bring in via the roads of Washington. And that's neat. As far as them changing, it would have been nice to see them changing over the course of the zone in a meaningful aesthetic and technology way, because that would give an indication of like how things were progressing or evolving in the zone chronologically. But that doesn't happen. Instead, throughout this entire game, all of this labs look exactly the same, just plus or minus whether or not they're like corrupted by radiation or something. And the only difference really is that as we get a bit further in, they become more likely to have multiple ones connected, and it becomes slightly more common to see the big U-shaped ones or even the full courtyard, which I think I only saw twice maybe, is when there's a full square of labs that are fully, like the wagons are circled. And that's, I said that on autopilot just now, but I'm thinking like that's actually an interesting little aesthetic about American history. Like circle the wagons was a phrase, circle the wagons is a phrase we have because of the idea that like settlers, American settlers trying to expand to the west and so on would go there, would expand and travel in covered wagons, and there was this idea that if the natives chose to attack them, they would circle the wagons for defensive purposes because they could put their vehicles in a ring to create a sort of wall, and they could try to defend that location. That's sort of recreated in the way that these labs sometimes form a full circle, and there is like this courtyard in the middle, and their power is actually in the middle. That's where they put their plasma generators instead of being on the outside. And like maybe making a full wall in some cases did make some of these locations more defensible. The first time I saw that was in an area full of like acid and stuff like that. And it was next to one of those fucked up rivers, and there was like saw blades around, and in the distance was one of those belchers. So like they very well may have done that for that kind of purpose, although there was not much evidence of there being anything happening in the middle of the courtyard in any particular way. It's just where the generators were. But yeah, anyway, just thinking about these buildings for a bit because I haven't thought about them out loud that much necessarily. Did I finish the bottom of the magnetizer? Yeah. Tow truck. Broken down? Of course we're broken down. Do you need me to recap? We had our doors stolen by one of those floating things. We had our battery drained by one of those bouncing things. We had our wheels ruined by one of those spiky things. We were dragged into a tree by, you know, one of those other things. So yes, we have broken down. Don't act so surprised. Are we the first ever people to break down out here? Why do you think you exist? Why do you think we gave you that truck? You know what? You're not fast enough. And what? Another job? Who? We broke down first. Oh no. They're juggling multiple things in this giant mess. But honestly, yeah, if you're being that annoying, they're gonna be like, you know what? I gotta deal with this other guy. I'll get back to you some other time. I only have 28 out of 31 user manual entries. What are these? What gameplay mechanics was I never taught? I guess some of these are tech related, so one might come up in the climax of the story or the finale, but they also might be tied to like me unlocking specific things I never unlocked at the base, because there's just a lot to do, and some of it's very, very locked behind stuff. Oh my goodness, okay. We're in for the long haul, boys. Electromagnetic squall. There's something strange in the air, though it isn't wholly meteorological. Whatever this bizarre atmospheric phenomenon may be, it's certainly going to play havoc with your car's electrical and magnetic systems. These are anomalies. Okay, some of these aren't lore, and I'm not going to read those ones. Okay, seismic squall. Yeah, I'm going to just read the entries. I'm not going to read every single little brief thing. We know what squalls are. Big bad thing happens to you. I hate it. Tour bus. We've lost Dr. Powell now, too. God damn it. Yes. Yes, I'm fine. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll hold. Yes, that's right. Yes, he was adamant it was safe. It was stupid and it was unnecessary, that damn man. Listen, tell your men to stay back. This one is even more dangerous than the others. It's like an evolution. Yes, That's what I said. I don't care what you think. We can worry about that later. Right now, I need helicopter extraction, and nobody, I mean nobody, goes near any more of those things. The dispute about evolution is that they keep trying to say not to call these things alive, and so evolution is a term that is based on them being living creatures, along with the idea with them ever stating that these things intend something or have instinct or do something, anything on purpose. And people are fighting back at against that language and don't want people to use that language. And so that's the dispute there. And they're like, shut up. Don't forget, Captain, that the chain of command just changed. Now I'm in charge. Tourist trap, an even worse one. It would seem that, with the passage of time, many anomalies evolve through a kind of synthesis. The constant rearrangement happening within the zone produces new combinations of previous oddities. Some are one-offs, others endure. These gigantic, monstrous amalgams are amongst those that keep reoccurring. They appear to be formed in part from the spontaneous columns of rock that erupt out of the ground. In part from those test dummies that themselves seem to have been previously combined with a cache of missing claymores. What strikes me most is their remarkable coherence. Clumsy as they are, it's almost as if they serve a very deliberate function, as if they were designed, perhaps for some defensive purpose, some deterrence. And this ongoing synthesis has me wonder if the zone is in not only a constant state of flux, but perhaps even a state of evolution? Even deliberate experimentation? They're wondering if the zone itself is running trials and seeing what it can get away with or what it can do. Like, instead of implying an intent to the individuals as biological creatures, instead it's like wondering if the entire zone has an intent. The ticking tumbler. It's like the bomb boxes, but they come at you. I'm not sure I like my job so much these days. The amount of explosions alone is difficult to count. I never thought I'd be working in a place where everything explodes so much, but after what I suppose we're now calling each growth event, I shall not be using inverted commas, everything gets stranger. Stranger and more dangerous. I know we were told to expect some amount of hazard, but people are dying out here, and the work Adra has us doing is putting each person at ever greater risk. The latest of these anomalies, horrific things that I swear we've lost all control of and are now completely overwhelmed by, is some sort of mutated, volatile rock that might as well be a bomb. Hence the explosions. Are they almost indistinguishable from any other boulders lying around until they chase you? Of course they are. Are Arda management aware of this newest danger? This most recent peril? Or even addressing any of our new concerns? Sometimes I wonder if Arda are responsible for all this. Ooh. The turnaround. The devil grinder. The weird bouncy rock zones. So, imagine a dust devil, yeah? You know those. So imagine a dust devil, right? But turned up to the max. Yeah, I said to the max. Lenny, hold the receiver to your ear. Your ear. Yeah. So, it's like a dust devil, but it's so much more powerful. Like, small. Like, focused, but so strong. With the strength to just pick up trash and even stones and hurl them around. Collins is a goddamn concussion or some crap like that. A concussion. Huh? Oh. It's when you hurt your head. No. Not when you hurt your head. I mean, a concussion is when a person hurts their head. What'd you say? Yeah, sure, like a boxer. Listen, Lenny, I've seen this thing smash a truck into submission. Like, just pummel them. I said pummel them. Hey, hold the receiver to your ear, man. Shout? I am shouting, Lenny, but you're not listening. I'm trying to... Lenny? What's going on? What are you doing? Is someone there? Who is that? What the hell, Lenny? Are you kissing? Person on the other end just does not give that much of a shit about what's going on. Let's see. Anomalies are at 42 out of 53. So that's about 80%. A slightly better ratio, but it seems to be overall, my overall level of completion is like 75 to 80% of scans. Who knows how much of that is things I've never seen and how much of it is things I never got the chance to see. Sorry, I said that wrong. things that I haven't seen or things that I just didn't ever think to scan. I just got used to them or didn't register that at the time. The Radiant Dredge. Oh, that's the lightning thing that chases you, but it's made of light. I don't know what it's made of. Light? Bombs? It's my belief now that few, and perhaps even none of the anomalies intend to harm. They don't mean to hurt anyone, and while some display behaviors perhaps consistent with chasing or tracking, I don't think that is predatory. Of course, I don't mean to dismiss the many, many fatalities that we have now documented. I think the evidence shows that most are through accident or misadventure. The unfortunate consequences when one engages in dangerous discovery. Others are, I'm afraid to say, negligence or failure to follow clear instruction. It is without doubt that some anomalies are simply much more dangerous, even destructive, than others. Much as a trampling elephant is more dangerous than a frightened mouse, greater destruction does not imply any greater intention. Bro, all I know is I would quit the moment I found out about the horrible meteor storms that drop what looked like entire buildings from the sky that put out lethal radiation. That is such a terrifying storm that I would immediately... No level of discovery is worth it. I'm out of this entire place. I'm going to leave the country, actually. Bye. Titan's Bone. Yeah, I only briefly saw these and didn't really realize what they did. I saw them once. I was like, what the fuck is that? Ah! No! I lost it. Alright, well, I'll try to remember to get that later. Hopped up hair. I bumped the bumper, and that's how this inbox works. Hopped up hair. This is the one that was acting strangely. A few of them have been acting strangely. Today, I'm delighted to be able to report that not only one rare success, but 3. I'll be closing a trio of missing persons cases and sending some very exhausted, very scared civilians home. And a curious coincidence connects these people. First, we found the Canadian fisherman who had gone missing in '67. We found him living in his boat, hull and all, 30 pounds of fish in his perfectly functional icebox. Then, we found that last member of the Bugwatch broadcasting team, in a car almost as good as new. Oh, these are the ones that repair things, aren't they? They repair vehicles, don't they? Finally, there was Clive, that pneumatube technician, hiding in a still-powered field lab, and insisting that he's only been gone a week. I didn't know what to tell him. Weird thing is, all 3 described anomalies helping them out. Those things that leech onto cars, they leap out of the wilderness, clamp onto something, and restore all power. They helped keep the heaters going on cold days, kept the radio playing on lonely nights. I wouldn't have believed any of it if I hadn't heard the same story 3 times in a row. I was wondering about these, or how do you actually use them? So I think I was like, is this thing good? And I think I threw it at my car, and it didn't latch on. Although that might have been the happy hair, I might have mixed them up. I might have tried to use the one that maybe is only meant to heal you. Or does it heal you or the car? Happy hair. Over the past year, I've seen anomalies cause all manner of chaos. I've seen them dismantle ARDA facilities, dissolve trucks into puddles of goo, even tear human beings apart. I've seen the fruits of our labors turn one of the prettiest parts of the country into one of the most dangerous and unpredictable. But this week I saw the first sign of things that might change. I caught a rare glimpse of hope. Perhaps not everything we unleashed here, in this gigantic cosmic accident, has been bad. We've logged several sightings of a new anomaly. At first sight, it matches the description of so many others, but this one is different. It actually repairs things, apparently seeking out damaged material and regenerating it in a way not dissimilar to some of our own prototype technology. It is benign, even friendly. I'm starting to wonder if it even communicates. All of this talk about how you can't anthropomorphize anything here and don't act like it's alive, but the moment it's doing a good thing, you're like, ooh, I'm gonna immediately companion cube this thing and act like it's my friend. Blacksmith. Thank you for taking time to join us today, everyone. I'm well aware that the military has plenty on its schedule. My assistant is passing out summary reports. But should you require more information, I have extensive, in-depth data collected over several years of research on a wide variety of phenomena here in the peninsula. I almost said pneumonia in Pennsylvania. My specialty has been what we have broadly categorized as geological anomalies, and today I'd like to update you on what many of your soldiers have been calling the blacksmith. Within just a couple of days, the anomalies have already caused extensive disruption and a great deal of injury. They've demolished buildings. They've brought down transmitters. They've forced vehicles off the road. The damage done has already run into the millions, and all of us, soldiers or scientists, are actually acutely aware of the costs we're accruing and the equipment we're writing off. I'm hoping we can pool our experiences and best practices and save one another a lot of stress and harm. First, I'm hoping we find a pattern to this latest anomaly, the way we sometimes have with others. Second, I'm hoping we find a way to predict and even avoid these. Let's start by reviewing some witness statements. So the entire lore entry is just, hey, this thing's a really big deal and it sucks. And it's just it's just showing that they in fact did fixate on trying to figure out how to discuss it. But it tells you, it doesn't even acknowledge what the object really is. But this is the big thing where there's a huge pulse happening periodically that would launch me in the air and cause all the local stuff to freak out, seemingly. Yeah, this thing did seem to be helpful. Yeah, the beating heart was like the pacemaker and the beating heart. So the beating heart's the upgraded inner zone version of it. What did I lose? I'll probably recognize it. Remember the devil grinder? Titan's bone. Yeah, the weird spike. Yes, I know I'm on record. Yes, I know all these calls are monitored, too. But I have to tell you about this. I have to report it, and I swear I wasn't seeing things. I know we've all had a few, hallucinations by this point, but this is something very real. And as soon as I can get to a dark room, I can prove it with photos. I swear these things just burst out of nowhere. No, they thrust out of nowhere. We had a whole truck just speared today, another sent flying sideways by the force of these things. And there was no warning, I tell you. With all that I've seen the last few weeks, it's like the ground. The earth itself is turning against us. I feel like I don't even know where to step anymore. What do you mean confiscate the film? Why? Just a spike just came out of the ground at them. I don't know if I saw that. I think I might have seen it moving. But yeah, there's just a green spike. I don't even know if it... Actually, that's radiation probably, so I don't think it's normally green. It's just a spike. So maybe it doesn't even stand out that much normally. And with stuff like that, who knows what the last 11 anomalies are that I've never found. I think I've scanned 4 bunnies. Hard to say. Yes, can opener and spike puddle also have the same icon. I think it's a caltrop icon just to denote things that pop your tires, basically, or come at you from below. These are definitely categorized. The colossal cappy. I wonder if we're ever going back to that. Or not? Not sure. Red balloon. If swallowed, seek medical advice. When life is simply too heavy, lather this otherworldly substance to lighten your day. Guaranteed to reduce loads and soften collisions, or your money back. A lot of familiar things in here. Highly classified reports. Are any of these funny names? Was 1312 not the name of that canceled Star Wars? That was just 1313, wasn't it? Yeah. So found items. I'm missing 5? And some of those, that's prime stuff, where some of them might be at the ending of the game, but who knows what else. It's a combination of plot items and resources, or things you pick up. Not resources exactly. Oh, well, yeah, resources, like tree candy. I guess things are categorized as resources are things you get stuff from, whereas these are actual resources as in like things you craft with. Like swamp coral, electric wire, yeah. Those are all familiar. Crafting is just massive for obvious reasons. I can't even click on this menu, it's just busted or something. Nope, there it goes. It wouldn't let me page around in it. Yep. So there are 138 entries in this menu. Oh, it looks like the thing that denotes when it'll be marked as red is when the text finishes populating, no matter how long or short it is, which is a little goofy. Blown out. These are all just the bad things that happen to your things. I've discovered 26 out of 34 bad things that happen to your stuff. Hooray. And this is just the stuff we installed at the base. So we're familiar with all these. There might be something to be gained from reading them all out loud, but it's quite a mountain of stuff to get caught up on, so I think I'm gonna let... and then all of... Your fucking cosmetics have 174 items? There's more cosmetics than crafting material... crafting recipes, damn. That's intense. That's very funny. The end of the road. Approach the well. It's time to bring the car to the well, to release the remnants' hold on you for good. Who knows what you'll find there, but with Oppie and Francis by your side, this is the best chance we have at surviving this thing. I don't know if I really realized there was a quest log in my pause menu this whole time, because I don't really ever look at this menu, at this particular screen. But, yeah. It's like a step-by-step description of the current thing that's more expansive than what's in the top right corner right now, at least. Alright. Visit the friendly dumpster. I think I can do without. Okay. A decent selection of things in my inventory, I think. Unless I'm forgetting something. Then backup stuff in here. We're pretty packed up for a big final trip. We'll see. And I already picked my route. If I have quirks, I don't know what they are, so I'm just gonna let them be, I guess. First place we're going to, well, I'll see it on the map. Let's go. I believe in us. Gasp. My decal. See, it says matching paint when I'm literally in the process of applying a thing that is obviously not matching. It's a bit goofy. Not pink, I need purple. Is that a no Yeti symbol? Not today. I think the not today symbol is that Bigfoot doesn't exist or something. A mural. Sketchy. Is that like a sketchy outline of the vehicle itself or something? That's kind of funny. I don't think I'm looking to change the identity of the entire vehicle this late in, though. There's the purple paint. You're supposed to be purple. Everything else is pretty much... Nope. Then we're looking for animal stripes. Just to put everything back together after the upgrades. I could redesign the car, but at this point it's like right at the end, so I'm like, let's just maintain the current identity of the thing as people have looked at it. So if there's any final farewell cutscene, it'll at least look like a familiar vehicle and not like something I redesigned 3 minutes ago. For the final journey. Goodbye, friendly dumpster. Goodbye, base that I upgraded the fuck out of for the benefit of somebody else, I guess. If anyone else ever shows up here. There's a lot of things I'm never using again, assuming that I don't fail horribly in my attempts to get the fuck out of here. See, this is still full of stuff that I can put here, because this thing just has infinite space as far as I can tell. And I forgot to do that. Okay. Wait, where's the basketball? The alarm's not going off. Did it finally stop sucking up the basketball over and over again? Or did I put the basketball outside of the... I don't know where the basketball went. I was gonna, like, jokingly do one last shot, but I don't care about the basketball. Sure. Did it roll outside? And therefore is out of the zone or something? I think I'm prepared for my run, and if I didn't, and if I'm not prepared, then I guess this will be very funny when something goes horribly wrong, which is always fun. Need to very carefully not press the spotlight button on my thing until I actually need it for any reason, just to avoid what I've done before. Auto tracking, spotlight, handbrake, limb shield. All right, okay, so limb shield on top again. Auto tracking, spotlight. Gonna be A, I guess. Alright, handbrake has been something I've kept around. It feels universally helpful, except for the part where I'm bad at using it, so it doesn't really pay off.